watch
How?
this?
How?
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 Ew,
How do you watch this? Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
Hello, you're listening to How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we give each other a movie in the genre we like, but they don't. My name is Demi, and I love horror.
My name is Megan, and I love romance.
This week, Megan watched the movie The Witch, spelled VVitch, because W was not a letter at that time.
Oh, that's why.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, okay, I hope Demi explains a few things to me. I have questions, I have theories, I have thoughts. I feel like, it's still kind of fresh. I watched it last night, so things are gonna ruminate a little longer, and I'll probably have a few aha moments over the next couple of weeks. But but I have a good starting point for it.
Good. Yeah, it's a lot to dig into, and I feel like with that director especially, he's just always throwing little things in. It's like, oh, what does that mean?
Yeah.
How do you interpret this? So.
Which I do enjoy having to think about things. It makes this an art film versus a regular film.
It's very much an artsy film. So
yeah, it's 2015 folk horror, rated R, 1 hour and 32 minutes long. just so you know, directed by Robert Eggers.
Yeah,
is that right? Okay, great. All right. So my snapshot. First of all, the common thread is to be revealed next week by me. However, the minute it turned on, I was like, oh, okay, I know.
Yeah.
Got it.
I couldn't resist.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. So, a family in puritanical New England, year 1630, is standing before a court. The father is lamenting the false practices of the community, claiming that they left England for a more rigid spiritual lifestyle. The family is invited to leave the colony, seeing as their beliefs vary from the greater population. They find a plot of land in front of a forest and build a homestead there. Which, by the way, as I'm watching this rickety carriage go over all this terrain, I'm thinking about how this past weekend I was riding a four-wheeler in the forest, and I was thinking to myself, thank God these tires are so big, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to go through over these sticks and things like that. Yeah. And I'm looking at these rickety wheels.
Yes.
Like, how did they get anywhere?
Yeah, carrying a family of a lot of people.
At that point in time, it was a family of 6. It was before they had the baby. Yeah. So that is a lot of people.
Yeah.
And all their belongings.
With their stuff.
Unbelievable. And you don't know how far they were a day's horse ride away from the community. So that's a lot.
It's a good distance. Yeah.
A good distance. So essentially they built their homestead there. I don't know how they did it, because I'm looking at this house and I'm thinking to myself, one man and his pubescent teen children, wife and babies created all these houses.
It's a solid build.
Yeah.
Solid.
Like, where did you get the machinery to slash the wood like that? Like,
axing, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, he did have he was very big into axing.
He liked chopping wood. So
he did like chopping wood. So I was like, I don't know how you have this much going on. Just you.
Yeah. In the span of a year-ish.
Yeah.
A few months to do all that. Pretty well. But I guess they didn't have anything else to do.
I know.
Get good at carpentry or sewing.
Yeah.
Hunting. That's it.
So the family is made up of the mother and father, Catherine and William, the eldest daughter, Thomasin, who is played by Anya Taylor-Joy. She appears to be in her mid-teens, although ages are never revealed. We don't really know. I know the actress herself was 19 at the time, I believe.
Yeah.
Caleb, her younger brother, seems to be just entering puberty. He's got like a little baby face with all those freckles. I love it.
I know. I like its little freckles.
Yeah. There are a set of young twins, Mercy and Jonas, and an infant, Samuel. One day, Catherine asks Thomasin to help with the baby. And while playing peekaboo, Samuel suddenly disappears in front of her eyes. The viewer is shown footage of someone in a red cloak running with the baby. there is a strange scene that follows with a naked woman, old and scraggly like the barbarian creature.
Yeah.
Really, I felt like I was
Not
being
hot.
transported back to that. I was woof. Okay. Yeah, it was not like a fun naked scene. It was like there was a lot.
Gross. Creepy.
Yeah. So she was like touching the baby and wielding a knife, and naive little me,
Oh.
naive little me, I'm thinking she's about to circumcise the baby and then return the baby. I was like, there's gonna be some weird ritual with that, and then she's gonna return the baby, and the baby's gonna come back to the family.
She actually took the baby to baptize him.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I was like, well, maybe it's gonna be an evil baby. Like maybe she'll have possessed the baby or something like
Curse
that,
the
right?
baby, something like that.
Yeah. And no, that's not what happened. She then proceeds to have a very gross scene where she seems to probably kill him and cover her body in blood. And this is when I wrote in my notes, deleted scene, not realizing things would continue to get worse.
I was thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, there's a few.
Yes.
It would be like, delete.
Yes. So there's two. I was like, there has to be two. And this is one of them. I'm going to hold fast to it.
This one I would say for me is probably the deleted scene.
This is the number one. I have a secondary one that I was just like, that was a little too far. And I think that the general population will agree with me in that. Also, as a side note, my sister and I were recently talking. And I was talking about the podcast, and she was like, yeah, you really need to stop watching scary movies. Like, it's not good for your mental health. And I was like, no, Demi's been giving me like really mild ones lately. Like, they haven't even been scary at all. Like, totally fine. And then I'm watching this, and I like can't watch the screen. I was like, why is she doing?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I knew this one would be creepy, but
yeah,
I don't think it was as scary.
No, it was just, it gave a lot of ick. Like, there was a decent amount of
ick.
Yeah. And speaking of ick, another scene I super hated was what follows, which is Caleb ogling his sister's breast while she's sleeping.
Ew.
Hated that.
Caleb.
Hated that. Yeah. I know why the director did this, and we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
But it's still super icky, and not a fan of it. He is a big fan, apparently, of weird sex stuff in movies. So I don't know what this is about him, but so essentially a week or so has passed since the baby was taken. I think it's definitely a decent amount of time. It's not the next day. It's a while. And the mother is constantly wailing and praying. She's hoping to save the infant son from hell. We later find out that because they're not part of the church anymore, the babe didn't get baptized. And this is of great concern because without being baptized, it means that he can't get into heaven. So Catherine is praying for the baby and hoping that he's able to get to heaven. The father is looking at the situation more logically in that he has decided it's time to stop looking for the baby because he would be dead by now, either from the elements or starvation.
Mm-hmm.
So not like very positive, but he's being real and trying to move forward with the family as best as he can. Speaking of starvation, the family's crops are not doing well. The corn has rotted, and now they have to catch their food. So because of that, they are forced to go into the Forbidden Forest, which is a concept you are very keen on lately since my last movie also had a Forbidden Forest.
All fours are forbidden.
Oh, God. I'm just glad I didn't watch this before I went into the woods this weekend.
Why do you think I don't like nature? Nature plays a big role in horror movies.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't like horror movies. See, I took the reverse.
Yeah. I don't want to be scared of normal things.
No. William takes Caleb into the woods and makes him promise not to tell Catherine. So they talk about biblical things, mostly sin, original sin, all that kind of stuff, why people are born with sin. And it makes Caleb concerned over Samuel's soul as well as his own. You know, he's like, if I've sinned already, which I don't remember doing, it's just innately in who I am. How do I know I'm going to go to heaven? So he's having his existential crisis at a very young age. We learn that the father traded in the mother's silver wine cup for a trap, which unfortunately didn't catch anything that day. They did, however, see a rabbit, which the father failed to shoot, instead injuring his eye. Catherine is livid that Will and Caleb went off the farm, and Caleb lies to protect his father from her ire. He says that he wanted to get the mom apples to cheer her, but they couldn't find any. Regularly throughout the film, the dad chops wood to deal with his feelings. So
That's all you got to do.
This one is like the most weird scene of it because he is just wearing a sheet around his waist. He's like naked but for a sheet and chopping wood.
Yeah.
And clearly he has lots of feelings that he deals with this way because they have like as tall as their building firewood chopped, and there's no way they're gonna go through that much wood in one winter.
It's funny, I didn't notice how much wood he chopped till like the end. I was like, Jesus Christ.
It's an insane amount of wood. It's an insane amount of wood. While Thomasin and Caleb are at the brook, Mercy, she's one of the twins. I think I said that. Mercy and Jonas are twins. So Mercy
twins.
Yeah. So Mercy pretends to be the witch of the woods. Thomasin gets really annoyed with her, in part because the twins just never listen to her when she speaks to them. And so she starts teasing and essentially saying that she's the witch and she traded Samuel with the devil in order to have great power. And that, she can't tell the family or whatever. It's pretty messed up. Like the scene,
right.
It's not like a cutesy teasing, like I'm the witch of the woods. She's like, I'm the witch and you better listen to me or I'll destroy you.
Right. And it's like their baby brother genuinely went missing and is dead.
Yes.
And you're like, being
that
like, I fucking did it.
Yes, that is so dark. So over a very nourishing meal that night of unleavened bread, they all take one piece of little bread and like rip it in half and whatever. I'm sure very, very nutritious. Catherine blames Thomasin for the missing silver cup, which obviously the dad took and sold. It's very clear that the two have a complicated relationship, with Thomasin desperate for her mother's approval and Catherine unwilling to provide that support. The bunny shows up again that night outside the goat's pen or inside the goat's pen. The children eavesdrop as Catherine expresses a desire to send Thomasin to another family because they were unable to feed everyone. In an effort to prevent Thomasin from being sent away, Caleb wants to go into the woods to get food to eat. Thomasin finds him when he's about to leave and goes with him. They manage to get a rabbit and are on their way back when the dog alerts to that same bunny that keeps showing up. The dog chases the rabbit, the boy chases the dog, the horse chases the boy, and Thomasin falls off the horse and is knocked unconscious. So at this point, Caleb is lost in the woods. He's very scared. He's saying his prayers to comfort himself. And this is a deleted scene at numero dos. We hear the poor little whimpering of the dog. And then they show the dog with its insides on the outside. And it's crying. And I was like, that was too far.
Why would they do anything with the animals?
I know. Like, not to be rude, but the goats, which come into play later, I was like, that stinks. But the dog...
not the dog.
Not the dog. So he stumbles upon a hut in the woods where the red-cloaked witch comes outside with her boobs just like propped right up to her chin. She is busting out.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous naturally and seems to entice Caleb. So the one thing about this scene that was weird is he looks terrified the whole time.
Yeah.
He does not look like he's kind of like bewitched by her.
Right.
He looks like he's just being like drawn in against his better judgment.
Yeah.
And he is like trembling and very fearful. And she grabs him by the head and kisses him, which is so gross and feels like really illegal.
Calling the police.
Yeah. I was like, first of all, that is a baby. That is a the actor himself was only 14, which I was like, how do you get an adult woman to kiss a 14-year-old boy?
Yeah. He apparently like has never had a kiss before, so he was like nervous about his first kiss being like on screen. Just really funny.
I would be like, this is not a role I'm taking.
Yeah,
Thank
put a
you for the
precedent.
Yeah. I don't know how that works with laws, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess it's okay.
I guess parents kiss their kids on the mouth sometimes.
Yeah.
You're fucking weird.
Don't tell Tom Brady you said that. So when she grabs his head, her evil witch arm shows through whatever, if it's a glamour or if it's just that her youth is fading, whatever. So after being found by her father, Thomasin is back home. Will, the dad, decides to return for Caleb, but while bedding down the goats, Thomasin finds Caleb naked outside in the rain. Catherine prays over Caleb's body. Will says he wants to go back to the congregation to get help, and because, everything is going sideways. Yeah. And Catherine says she just wants to go back to England. She is done with this life. Caleb spits up a bloody apple, which is probably a reference to the lie he told earlier, as well as the story of Adam, both of which were referenced at the beginning. Mm-hmm. The twins use this opportunity to accuse Thomasin of witchcraft. And Caleb appears to see Jesus and dies. So that was my most memorable scene. All of that happens within like a couple minutes. Yeah. It's a lot. I think that is the best, most memorable scene.
I give props to the kid actor.
Oh my God.
That was crazy.
He did an amazing job. Yeah. The father begs Thomasin to admit her sins. She instead says that she believes the family goat, Black Phillip, is the devil and has made a covenant with Mercy and Jonas. The father, frustrated and overcome by his children's fantasies, board them up in the goat pen. The parents were, like, come on, this is where they just said they thought the devil was.
Yeah, they thought, and look at that goat.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
That is a scary looking goat. So the parents bury Caleb. William blames himself for everything that's happened. He blames his pride for sending them out of the congregation and all that. In the middle of the night, Catherine gets up and sees Caleb and Samuel. Caleb has a book for her to read, obviously the Book of the Devil. Sam feeds from her breast, but we see back that it's actually just a crow pecking at her bosom. I hated that as well.
I hate that. Yeah.
Hated that. Really made me feel super uncomfortable.
She's always doing something with her breasts, that actress. She was in the Game of Thrones.
Remember
the crazy lady that breastfed her like 13-year-old.
Oh my God. I was like, what is she from? There you go.
Her and the father, the actors from Game of Thrones too.
Really?
I forget what role he played though, but they were both from Game of Thrones.
I'm so bad at like figuring out where actors are from, and I meant to look into it, but I didn't. Meanwhile, the twins wake up to see the witch feeding off the white goat. Thomasin wakes to their screams and sees it too. In the morning, William goes outside to see the goat pen torn apart with dead goats lying on the ground, as well as a passed out Thomasin. The twins are never to be seen again in this movie, so that's weird. He suddenly gets rammed by the black goat and dies against the woodpile he had created, which feels like a metaphor. Yeah. The mother blames Thomasin for everything and thinks that she has the devil in her. While being attacked, Thomasin defends herself and ends up killing the mother. Thomasin takes a nap and then goes to Black Phillip to make a deal. The devil appears and helps her sign the book. Then she traipses off into the woods naked. There, she sees a group of witches around a fire writhing and rising into the air. She gets lifted up as well and begins laughing.
Girly things.
Yeah, just girly things.
Girls being girls in the woods naked. Bro was watching this and he's like, that's probably what JD Vance thinks childless cat ladies are doing. I was like, man, it's probably not too far off. Mentally, I'm naked chancing in a forest around a bonfire.
I mean, I love that though.
Yeah.
It's really cute. Cool. There's nothing wrong with that part of it, you know? You're not hurting anybody when you're naked dancing in the woods.
No.
You're at risk for Lyme's disease, but I know.
It's when you use the blood of children to make yourself fly is the problem. But
okay. Yeah. That's where we get into a little rocky roads.
Some issues.
Yeah. There's so much that happened here. And I very much, as I'm watching it, was like, yeah, this director is known for a type.
I haven't watched the Northman one he did. It's just like a Viking. It's not even horror, but I hear it's okay. I didn't hear great things about it, so I was like, maybe I'll watch it.
People were like, you know what? Not weird enough.
Yeah. Where's the mermaid pussy?
Right. And by the way, I was at my parents' house this past weekend hanging with my sister, and they were just talking about how they watched this really weird movie with my mom the last time that they were with her. And they were like, oh, yeah, that witch movie. And I was like, wait, what? And they were like, yeah, that movie about, it was like 1600s. There was like a family. There was a goat in it. I was like, I have to watch that movie. And
What?
they were like, oh, we watched that with mom. You watched that with mom?
What are they watching horror movies with your mom?
I don't know. I think they saw that it was like artsy and they liked the description and didn't realize that it was a folk horror.
Yeah.
And they want my poor mother. I was like, I texted Michelle as I was watching it. Texted my sister and I was like, you watch this with mother?
This movie is so critical against religion.
Yes, on so many things. And so I texted her that and she was like, yeah, well, I wanted to turn it off, but mom wanted to see how it ended.
Did your mom like it?
No.
Interested to see how it is. I feel that. Sometimes I'll watch a movie and I'm like, you know what? I have to see how this movie ends.
We'll see what happens.
I have to see the ending.
It's weird. You want to know what's going to happen to it.
It's true, yeah.
But I cannot believe she watched that. So,
oh my god,
really, really wild. I'll have to tell my mom to listen to this episode because I'll be like, Mom, remember?
Yeah,
was that so fun for you?
Didn't you love that experience?
Wasn't that like so exciting? When did you rate it, Mom?
Yeah.
So none of my sisters liked it. So either, but whatever. Okay, yeah, that was my background information I wanted to share with you that I was really excited about.
How'd you feel about the way they spoke? Was it really difficult for you to follow? Or
I'm really glad you mentioned that because I was getting so freaking peeved because the subtitles weren't working. Every time I turned the subtitles on, it was basically just would buffer, play 5 seconds and then buffer again. And so I essentially, what I did was on my phone, I pulled up the script. I looked online. I found a website that had the script and I read as it was going because just to start, like the actor, the dad, what's his name? So the dad's name is Ralph Ineson. Yeah. His voice is so deep and gravelly.
Yeah.
And then he has an accent, an English accent, like an old-timey English accent. And then it's all thee, thou, thy.
Yeah.
Yes. Whatever. So I was like, this is a different language. I was struggling so hard to understand. I could understand like Anya Taylor-Joy when she was talking.
Yeah.
But it was just a little bit too much where I definitely needed subtitles.
Yeah.
I need to be able to read it.
The first time I watched this was without subtitles, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, what is, like, I don't know anything that's going on. I'm like, I can't understand anyone.
I used to be a non-subtitle girly, but I don't know if I'm just lazy or if my ears stopped working.
I think it's also, too, like, the way they speak, everything's kind of, like, flipped. So, like, when you're
harder to process it.
Yeah. I think when you're reading and hearing, it's easier to process what they're saying versus just hearing it. It's like, what?
Yes, exactly. Especially when it's so funny because they keep saying like, oh, I was talking to thou.
Yeah. Like they're like speaking like the third person.
Right. And so I enjoyed the way that felt very real to the time and the language and everything was very interesting. I found all of that very engrossing.
Yeah.
It definitely needed subtitles though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be necessary, honestly.
Yeah. Like, why would you ever have it without subtitles is the question.
I don't know.
So yeah, I found that to be really good. I did have to Google why the family left the community at first because I was like, why did they exactly leave? Did they do something wrong or whatever? Yeah. And it just seems apparently the family was even more religious than the incredibly religious puritanical New England, which you thought it couldn't get more religious than that, but apparently it can. And I was just thinking to myself, all their conversations are always about religion. Like, feels like no offense to anyone who only has conversations about religion. Feels like it'd be a little boring.
Yeah, it's like everything's related to God. And you can see like, especially with Caleb and Thomason too, when she's praying that like she has sinful thoughts and her thoughts are probably not like actually sinful. It's just she's thinking of other things for her life. Yeah. And Caleb is like in puberty. He's thinking things and like, am I going to hell? So it's really kind of fucking up the kids, and the
Yeah.
parents are just like, well, you know, everything is for God and all this, and with everything going on and the witch harassing them, and
Yeah.
it's just making everything worse because they're just toying with them. So,
Yeah.
but the director did say that you can interpret the movie as the devil and the witch being real or not being real, and that the parents or the family just eventually kind of went crazy,
Oh,
being off
interesting.
on their own, and it just spiraled. Um,
Yeah.
so you can see it both ways. I like to believe that it was real,
Yeah.
but it's interesting because certain scenes with the witch, I think it was the frames per second was faster, I think, than the rest of the movie. So there was a weird
Oh.
type of shift every time there was a supernatural thing going on. So
Okay, interesting. That's really
yeah.
interesting. I could see it played from both angles, and I was wondering what the kind of twist would be. For a
Hmm.
little while, I did wonder if Thomason was actually the witch. Like, what if, oh, she was just
Right.
joking, but that really did happen, and
Yeah.
she was doing that on purpose. I think that it kind of it to me seemed like by the end of the movie, every single member of the family had been damned in some way. It was almost like they all,
Right.
the mom clearly was so happy to see her children and at the
Hmm.
prospect of seeing her kids again. And so they implied there being a book, and you get the idea that she probably signed that book so she could see her kids more frequently,
Yeah.
whether or not she knew it was the book of the devil.
Right.
And then Mercy and Jonas apparently had a covenant with the devil, although we
Yeah.
never really find out more about that. Did the director talk about that at all?
Not really. Like the goat supposedly whispered to them, talked to them. You know,
That's
they were very hyperactive, imaginative
yeah.
kids. So, like, maybe or maybe not. And I think a sin was kind of focused for each family member. I don't know about like the twins, but
Okay.
it seems like they all kind of had something that, like, if you looked more into it, it's very heavy on religion.
I'm gonna look up the seven deadly sins.
Yeah.
I know most of them, but
Um,
so because the dad specifically stated his pride.
yeah.
And then Caleb right off the bat would be lust.
Yeah.
And then so I think there were seven members of the family. So
Right.
there's sloth, gluttony, envy, wrath, and greed. No, there's not seven members of the family.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Wait, no,
6,
there
7
is.
with the baby.
Okay. So
I don't
then
know what the baby would be.
no,
Wrath.
sloth.
Yeah.
Wrath.
Baby sloth.
The mom would probably be wrath because she's very, very hostile. Greed.
Maybe Thomason, you know?
I was thinking she might be envy. Uh,
Maybe
She
greed or
wants her
envy.
mom's
She's
attention.
yeah.
I guess that would make like the baby sloth and then the two kids gluttony and
Yeah.
greed.
Yeah. I don't know if it was like definitely
Yeah.
supposed to be that, but it's interesting that there's a lot of ties to religion and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Even like what you said with the apple, um, that was bitten out of, and that could represent Adam
Yeah.
eating the apple and
Yeah.
lying about it.
Yeah. I just looked it up and they do go into that, the obvious pride, lust, envy would be Mercy and Jonas because they're jealous of Thomason.
Okay.
Wrath would be just the general anger towards each other in the family. Gluttony would be their reliance on material possessions.
Okay. Oh,
Greed,
yeah.
trying to survive in the woods. And sloth would be Thomason becoming apathetic and disconnected.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that was but to be fair, that was all presented to me by AI. So just because Google only gives you AI answers anymore.
Dude, I'm like, I don't want this.
No.
If
No,
I want
this-
AI answers, I will go to
I know how to get
it
AI.
myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know how to get to it.
So lame.
Yeah.
Anyway. No, it's interesting, and I think there's definitely a lot to read into with this movie.
What did they talk at all about the Caleb sexualizing his sister thing?
I don't think so. I think it was more so that they're pulling him away. They're secluding everyone,
Mhm.
and Caleb's only like outlet, I guess, or anything
Yeah.
is his sister. You know,
What he
he sees his
sees.
sister.
Yeah.
I don't think it's supposed to be like harmful, but I
Okay.
think it's just a growing boy, and he doesn't know what's going on,
Yeah.
and he
And
only
he
has
has, yeah.
his sister. It seems like he's was closest to
Yeah.
Thomason,
Yeah.
so like
The
flowers in the attic, that type of stuff.
oh God.
Not to that extent, but
Yeah,
when
but
you're secluded and you only have
yeah.
a person, so he doesn't know what's going on. He's what,
Right.
12?
I mean, yeah, I don't think that there was malicious intent on his part.
Mm-mm.
It's just,
No, he was a sweet boy. It was just
yeah,
very. I was like, oh, I
yeah,
don't like
not,
that.
mm-mm.
Stop it.
Yeah, knock it off. And at the end of the movie, the mom basically blames Thomason for
Yeah.
all of
Seducing
that.
him and the
The
dad, which the dad
dad,
had there was
no,
nothing. But I think that too is also something criticizing religion where women usually get,
yeah,
blamed
blamed
for
for, yeah,
all that stuff. Whereas Caleb was the one looking at her, not her looking at him. So
yeah,
Thomason didn't do anything.
yeah. So the bunny and the goat are both sort of these
Yeah.
animals that further the plot in that way. So the bunny felt like it was the witch and the goat felt like the devil, is what I got from it.
Yeah. So it was believed in colonial New England, hares were considered magical creatures. They were often associated with witches, which stole or spoiled milk from the farm animals or the witches themselves. So people were thought that witches would just turn into a hare and spy on people and influence them. So it's like, okay.
All right.
But it was a creepy little the director said that the hare was a good actor, the dog was a good actor, but
Yeah.
Black Phillip was the worst, and his real name is Charlie.
Uh-huh.
And there's actually a lot of drama around
Really?
Charlie. Yeah.
What happened with Charlie?
So they looked at photos and they were like, that looks like the scariest motherfucker.
Yeah,
So they get
yeah.
this goat. And basically, anytime they had a bunch of scenes they wanted with the goat, and they had to scrap it all because the goat just wouldn't fucking do it. So either whenever they wanted the goat to just relax, it would not relax. And then whenever they wanted it to like do some sort of action or be hyper, it would just want to sleep. So it just was not working with the team at all. And for some reason, the goat had this vendetta against the dad's actor. And the dad actor was like, yeah, I don't know what it was, but he just always wanted to fight the death. So
No way.
let me see, I have it here. I think it was so it was only 25 days to film this whole movie, which
Wow.
is really impressive. The fourth day of filming, the Charlie the goat rammed his horns into the actor's ribs, dislodging a tendon, so he had to be on painkillers because of this goat. And it's funny because Brett was watching it with me, and when the goat attacks the dad at one point, Brett was like, damn, you think that was on purpose? I was like, honestly, I don't know. Like, the goat was just hunting this poor man for no reason.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, the director wanted the goat to be in more scenes, but like subtly, just kind of like watching from the distance or just being eerie. And the goat was like, nah, I'm not doing this. And it's funny because the trailers are like, we thought the goat did great. Charlie was great. And everyone else was like, fuck that goat.
That is so funny.
So, yeah, he was a pain in the ass, but
yeah,
I mean, he looked cool.
Yeah, he did. And like the scene where the dad is like grabbing him by the horns to put him in the pen, I was like, oh, that's a strong animal. Like, that's a really strong animal.
I think so. The actor for the dad lost, I think, 30 pounds for the role, which made the goat 50 pounds heavier than the dad. So he struggled a lot with the goat because of how heavy it was. And I'm like, Jesus. Yeah, so
that little thing was that much? That's nuts.
It was heavy. I want to say it was like 250, or it was like a big ass goat. So yeah, crazy.
Unreal.
But the bunny was a good actor.
The bunny was good actor. The bunny was a cutie pie.
Yeah, the bunny was very cute.
Did they talk about the original sin at all? Did you see things about like Adam and Eve or anything? Because I think that was it seemed like that was the connection they were making with Caleb going to the witch.
Mm-hmm.
If she's like Eve, and then he spits up the apple later, but it had like a bite taken out of it, so it kind of gives that sort of impression.
Yeah, it feels like, with Adam and Eve, and they were like tempted to bite the apple. It's like a desire. So I think it's like related to that where Caleb had a desire. Even though he was like scared, I think he wasn't lusting after her. But with all his feelings he was having, she just took hold of that and
Yeah.
took advantage of it. So I think that's
Yeah.
kind of what it's related to. Yeah. But there was something
Yeah.
specific on that.
Yeah. The silver wine cup, did that have any deeper meaning or no?
I don't think so. I don't think it
I
had
think it
any
was
deeper
just like a
meaning.
plot device to show that the dad was not telling the mom everything
Yeah.
and that the mom really was mean to her daughter.
Yeah, the dad was just not standing up for
Yeah.
her, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, why
You
you letting
know
her
what the
shit
truth
on?
is. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then at one point, Thomason like calls him out on it and he did not like that.
right. Dude.
Which, by the way, I just don't understand actually hammering your children into a barn. You're like, you know what? You're
I-
boarded up with animals, like with a goat that you couldn't control,
yeah,
and you're gonna put your like these kids are like 3, 4 years old, and
yeah,
Thomason. And I honestly got the impression that the dad didn't believe any of them, and he thought they all were just kind of going off. Although there was a
yeah,
point in time where I thought maybe he actually thought that Thomason made a deal with the devil. I don't know, but then he just kept talking about them, having these great fantasies. I wasn't sure what he actually believed.
yeah. I don't know. It felt like kind of like a hysteria moment where everyone's kind
Yeah.
of blaming each other, and I don't know. I feel like a part of him had some sort of belief because when this took place, there was a hysteria around witches
Yeah.
before Salem, but it was going on. So I think it was like a thing. And especially with Caleb's death, is when they were all praying and the twins stopped. So it was believed that witches couldn't fully say the Lord's Prayer. So when they were
Mm,
stopping, that was like, oh shit, like what is going on here? So I think there were signs that Thomason or the twins could have been
yeah.
influenced. But yeah, I don't know. The dad was also just kind of seemed just fed up and was like,
Yeah.
fuck it. But also, if they were one of them were the witch, I don't want them in my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Type of vibe.
I think that for me personally, I would have fared relatively well because of the fact that I probably would have just let them send me to another person's home. Um I get she wanted to be with her family, but here's the thing. Thomason, she has a good relationship with her dad, it seems, although he is not being forthright, but
Yeah.
she doesn't know that. The mom, she is trying everything she can to get the mom's approval, and the mom doesn't care. The younger twins are annoying her and don't listen to her. She obviously loves Caleb and wants to be with him. But, and of course, there was the whole thing with Samuel, her kid
Yeah.
sibling just got taken away, and they don't have food to eat. So she's hungry, and they are fasting as a way of like resolving their sins when really in actuality they still have food.
Right.
And so if it was me, I think I'd be like, okay, send me to town. Fine. That's really sad, but I don't want to die.
Right.
And I want food, and you all don't appreciate me.
Yeah, for real. And I don't know if part of it is like her kind of not wanting to be stuck in this like wifey role where she's just doing that for the rest of her life. I don't know if that was like part of it where she just like didn't want to just be like her mom. Or, she's still young. I assume she's like 15, 16 maybe in this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
because the mom said she had just come into her womanhood, so she had to be young.
she took, not that she had much of a choice at the end, but she agreed to the book pretty quick.
She did not
When
take
the
very
devil was
long.
like, want some good shit? She's like, yeah.
I thought she was
want
gonna
good
show a little waiting, but instead he mentioned butter, and she was like, "I'm in." Yeah.
Which apparently eating butter was seen as like a sin. It was a horrible thing. But
What?
yeah, it was, I think, catered towards the poor people, so they just wouldn't want to eat butter. I don't know if butter was just like a rarer thing. But I like, when I was looking this stuff up, I was like, that was actually like a sinful thing to like
That's insane.
eat butter. But yeah, she was like, fuck yeah. So that's like part of me is like, I wonder if she's just like been wanting that anyway.
Yeah.
She's been wanting that, and then now she has this chance. Or because now her family's completely dead. So she's like, well,
Yeah. What else is there for me? Where do you go from here?
right. But also signing your name in that book is pretty like you're selling your soul to the devil. You know, like
Yes.
that.
I would need more than butter.
I would,
Like,
yeah, I would be asking more questions. They're like, so,
yeah.
let's chat a little bit.
No, I was like, I don't think there's anything that would get me to do that.
It's
Because,
like how, like, do I have to frequently eat children? Like, what is
right, she saw the witch. Like, she
Yeah,
saw that grotesque, like, eating of an animal.
right. I don't want to be that.
No, not interested. I will
No.
go to town and I will pretend
Yeah.
like my family was mauled by bears or something. I don't know that you can make up any kind of
Right.
lie.
If I could just be like young and hot forever with magical abilities,
Yeah.
yes. And I will
Right. And I
deal
don't
with
have
my
to kill
soul going to
children.
hell later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, I don't want to eat kids. I don't want to like do weird fucking fucked up shit just to please you.
No,
So,
not interested.
yeah, I definitely would have asked more questions of the devil.
Yeah, for sure. He looked like the devil behind her. You don't really get a good look, but he looked a little bit like a circus presenter. Like it looked like he had a goatee with like the
he had to have it, right?
Yeah,
The devil's look.
Yeah.
I wonder if she was like hot though.
I know. I did wonder that. I was like, can we get a better look? Excuse me. All I've seen is a goat so far. So if I could get a better view of my tormentor.
Yeah, let me see what I'm working with.
Yeah.
Enemies to lovers, possibly.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
I'll be queen of hell.
Yeah, I can be the Persephone to your Hades.
You're Persephone. Awful. But yeah, I mean, sign the black book. Not a complete no, but most likely probably not. I would sign it.
Yeah. I think I would be a no because I would just be too fearful of, what would happen after? Like temporary joy versus
right. I mean, the women in the woods look pretty good. They didn't seem like the creepy looking witch from earlier. But
so we don't know. And we don't know. That was interesting to have a big reveal of there being multiple witches where I was wondering, okay, was there just one witch bothering them, but there's a whole array of them?
Yeah. And
I was curious about the family with them all being damned, because what is that kind of implying or meaning? And is there some world in which like Thomason actually just died and that was like metaphorical?
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, the director said you can interpret it in two ways, so it could be her just like dying or just completely losing her fucking mind and going off into the woods naked and doing God knows what. So, but
I was thinking at the beginning of the movie, I cannot imagine being a parent and being like, you know what? I want my kid, my infant, to be in a movie and they're gonna have this creepy hand touching its like naked body.
Yeah. The baby was just like chilling.
Right. Just chilling. And the baby wasn't harmed, the baby
it didn't, thank God it didn't fucking show. I would have like, ooh.
Yeah, that would have been big no. But much. I just it makes me curious about the
there's definitely a lot of horror movies where I'll see like very young kids or babies and I'm like I think the original Omen was probably pretty traumatic for that kid. I don't know for sure, but I'm like, that just seemed like a lot for that child.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm sure especially in like the 80s and 90s there were not a lot of precautions for
No, yeah.
There was the one horror movie I made you watch with the kid. He even know he was in a horror movie. Yeah. So, and
that's the way I feel like it has to be. But there are definitely ones when you look at, not that I watched it, but you look at it and stuff, they have to know that they're in a scary movie and be seeing scary things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just wild.
Right. So I know with the new It, the actor wanted to meet the kids in costume so they could feel comfortable with him. So they were very like chill. But yeah, there's definitely other movies where I'm sure it was not chill and there were traumatized children. But babies too, I guess they're just hanging out. But I always feel bad when I see babies crying because I'm like, what made them cry?
I know.
Are they just crying because they are upset or did you make them upset? I don't like that.
I just I can't imagine like just being like, here's this thing, this little creature that I made and I love with all my heart. Go ahead.
Yep. Was just birthed 5 months ago.
Yeah,
Here you go.
yeah.
Then give me that money.
So I said my most memorable scene, my deleted scene, main character. I said pass. She's underage.
Fair.
I think Anya Taylor-Joy is a gorgeous person, but just
Yeah.
can't get past that. So main villain, I'm putting it as being the witch, and I said pass because she looks like the creature from the Barbarian. However, the witch that greets Caleb is pretty attractive.
Hear me out. Yeah, we don't know if it was a glamour or
or
what, but
I mean, yeah, I don't want my soul like sucked from my body and an apple shoved down my throat. So
Right.
I'm gonna go with like a hard pass overall, but I can understand the
that's fair.
temptation.
yeah,
Like,
I think it's fair because she seemed to be just evil.
yeah.
No good qualities.
Mm-hmm. My survival, I said a 4.
Okay. that's fair.
Again, because I don't know. I don't know back then or whatever. I'm a big pushover. I do what I'm supposed to do. So if my parent was like, you have to go away, I'd be like, okay, bye. I guess.
Right.
I'm like,
I guess I'll leave.
Yeah. And I also would have been for sure traumatized after having my kid brother like stolen from underneath of me when I was playing with
I
them.
know. Yeah.
So I would probably just have like super bad depression and just not want to fight.
Yeah. Possibly starved. There's just a lot of ways to go out, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And so would I recommend it to a non-horror fan? I said no. It felt like it was a little bit too gruesome to give to just anybody.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. Before I give my rating, do you have more that you want to share?
Sure. So this was Anya Taylor-Joy's first movie, debut.
Really?
She was the first audition tape that the director saw.
Oh my gosh.
Which is pretty wild. And I think I said everything else.
Okay. My rating that I gave it, I do my ratings very instinctually, as you know. So I tend to go towards like what's my gut feeling?
Yeah.
So my gut rating was a 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason for the rating is I gave it that high because I really liked the thinking, the lore, the build up. I found it interesting and I didn't like hate it. The reason why I took off points was mostly because of the fact that like I didn't love the gory aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was really dark in a way that was uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to children's death and dog death, I do have a harder time than like with the lighthouse when it was like the old man who died.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Very different vibes.
Like, yes, you're a different person. But if because there was so much like child death, it was like, oof. I didn't even like wasn't even that sad about the parents. Like, oh, that sucks. But
they're kind of assholes towards the end.
Exactly. The baby getting stolen and its blood being smeared on a witch was a lot for me. But I did find it interesting. So I don't want you to think that I hated it. It's just
I thought you would find it interesting, but I wasn't sure you would enjoy it. And I think it's not a movie for everyone.
A lot of the people I told I was listening to it were like, that's such a good movie. I was talking to Doug and Alex last night and they were like, oh my God, great movie. Loved it. You're going to love it. And
I think for a lot of horror fans, it's like, oh, great movie. But it is dark. Like it's, it's dark and it's just like gloomy. It's just like a gloomy, it's a folklore horror story. And they're all just like that. Where it's just like a gloomy fucking shit. So
it was, but like I said, interesting, and the lore was interesting and all that.
Yeah.
So
good.
Demi knows the movie for next week because she picked the thread, but you all don't. So next week, the romance is Emma. This is the 2020 Jane Austen adaptation. It is about Emma Woodhouse, who is a relatively wealthy young woman who lives with her father in a small town in England. And she is a meddler. She likes to set people up. And she has a friend who she makes who is basically an orphan, and they don't really know her origins. And she wants to set this friend up with someone of higher means, someone above her station, ideally the local priest. And it's kind of about the various hijinks that happen. It's really good. I love this movie, and I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times, and I'm probably gonna I literally just watched it 2 weeks ago. I'll probably watch it again just for fun.
I mean, yeah, I get to watch my girl Anya and Mia Goth together.
Yeah. Yes,
the dream team.
They do an amazing job. Yeah,
I really love them. I'm definitely gonna try and get Brett to watch it because he enjoyed Pride and Prejudice. So.
Okay, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll see if Travis will.
If he likes this, maybe he'll watch Bridgerton. I'm trying. He likes the drama. He likes the drama.
Yes,
so
drama is delicious.
It's so good. Period era drama is.
It's just like top tier because it's the littlest
so ridiculous.
Things. Yes,
so ridiculous.
It's like the littlest things that get you excited because it's like, oh, they touched hands briefly. It's so much more. That makes me feel so much more excitement and passion than any other sort of
no chaperone.
Right? Oh my god. What would they think? It's available on Fubo and Freevee for
spoke another language. Fubo?
I know. Fubo and Freevee.
Like a sim TV channel.
Yeah, Simlish.
Fubo.
And you can rent it from Amazon and Apple TV as well.
Okay. What was it on for free? Was it on Hulu for a while for free? Bastards.
Yeah, I think it was Hulu for a minute. Now it's Freevee. It is free. You just have to watch ads, which stinks.
It's fine. But it's an ad-filled world.
It's honestly, everything's going down. I cannot handle all these things that used to be free or available on other streaming sources. They're just finding ways.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's next week and life and everything.
Exciting romance week. So
I love this, and I do hate giving you ones you've seen already, but I don't hate rewatching movies I love. So
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
I have my next horror from you, and I don't know if you've seen it.
Okay.
It's a cheese fest, but it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Okay, Con, I love cheesy ones.
I'm curious if you've seen it, but I don't know if you have.
So. Okay.
You'll find out.
I'll find out next week.
Yeah, you will. Anyway, you can follow us, chat with us, like us, whatever. Instagram, TikTok. How do you watch this? How do you watch? Or email at howdoyouwatchthis@gmail.com. And we will see you next week for some romance.